Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well. I thought today I would record a video for you with some feedback from last week before we continue with anything for this week. I do have some notes in front of me over here. I want to make sure I don't forget anything. So if you see me looking down at my screen, that's what I am doing. A lot of you have been doing really well with keeping up with your assignments and sending me your work, and I really appreciate that. Continue to email me with anything you can't submit through Teams. I know it's not working the best, but we're trying to get that figured out and running a little bit more smoothly, so keep bearing with me. Most of you have been doing really well also with your reading checks, and I'll be sending individual feedback to you throughout the day today on your ACEs paragraph from chapter 7. So be looking. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do an email or I'll send it back through your assignments. I'm going to figure out what works best, but you'll be hearing from me with that today. One thing I do want to remind you guys, when you're doing things like the ACEs paragraph or your objective summaries and things like that, you need to pay attention to not just what you're writing, but also how you're writing it. I have a lot of not capitalizing the first letters in sentences, not capitalizing the letter I, not punctuating sentences or questions, things like that. So just slow down a little bit, take your time a little bit more when you're answering things and typing. I know it's easy to just not really pay attention to that, but make sure you're focusing a little bit more on that type of thing. With your chapter 6 post reading questions, you guys were consistently between an 88 and a 96% accurate on all but one question, so that was great. I'm talking about the assignment where you go into the Google form and then answer some questions there. So the one question a lot of people did struggle with was about point of view. So I wanted to go over that with you guys for a second, and you're going to see that come up again today since it's obviously something we need to review. So we have first person, second person we're going to go over. It's really rare, but we'll go over it. And then we'll break down third person point of view. So first person point of view is where a narrator is telling their own story. They use pronouns like I, we, us, because they're talking about themselves or their own life. So Farewell to Manzanar fits this description because Jean is the narrator and she's telling her own story of what happened to her family using the pronouns I, we, and us. Another story we've read that fits this description is Cell 1, where Adichie is telling the story of what happened to her family when her brother went to jail. She was telling her own story. For example, she says things like, my brother Namabia broke into our house and our neighbor Osita robbed us. So she's using first person point of view. Second person point of view is rarely ever used, like I said. So typically if I give you this option, you can usually eliminate it pretty quickly. Second person point of view would be if a narrator was telling a story with the pronoun you. Like if someone said, you were walking down the street on a sunny day, mad at yourself for forgetting your sunglasses at home. Or it could be, your mom came to visit you. She almost didn't recognize you because of your new hair. Like I said, this is rare. We don't see this very much at all, but authors do use it sometimes in certain situations or to produce a certain effect. All right, so then third person point of view is broken down into some different types. The two that we've been talking about are third person limited and third person omniscient. So third person in general means that the narrator's an outside force. They're not a character in the story. They're this mysterious being who tells us about the characters using their names or pronouns like he, she, they, and them instead of I, us, or we. So third person limited point of view is when an outside force narrator only fully knows the mind of one major character in the story. That's why it's limited. They only know about one. So they can tell us about what that person is thinking or feeling, but they only know that one character. An example of third person limited we've read is Lamb to the Slaughter, because the narrator was an outside force telling us about Mary and her story. They used her name and the pronoun she, not pronouns like I. It wasn't Mary telling her own story, it was an outside unnamed force. Third person omniscient is when the narrator knows everything about every character. Omniscient means they're all knowing. So they can tell us what any character is thinking or feeling.
I found this on the web.
Oh, sorry. So an example of third person omniscient that we've read is the version we read of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, because we knew how Ichabod felt, the main character, the protagonist, but we also could get into the minds of Katrina and Brom and other characters too a little bit, to see how they felt, what they were thinking, different things like that. So that's third person omniscient. And then, just so you know, there is also third person objective point of view. And I just want you to think about the phrase we've talked about, objective summary. In an objective summary, it means you don't give your own opinion, you just tell what happened in that part of the text. So an objective point of view means the narrator doesn't tell us how any of the characters feel. They just tell us what happened. There's still an outside force, like with all third person point of view. All right, so that is just to review a little bit about point of view. So let me know if you have any additional questions or anything like that, if there was anything that's unclear, anything at all. And lastly, I wanted to remind everyone that there is free lunch available for pickup every day from 10 until noon at Northside behind the cafeteria for anyone ages 1 through 18 who needs it. Email me if you have any questions about that. There's also a tech person available at the lunch pickup station in case anyone's having laptop issues other than Teams isn't working. They already know that. And that's all for today. Sorry, not Friday. That's all for today. I am here on my laptop if you have any questions at all, if you need more clarification on anything, any kind of instructions, anything whatsoever, just reach out to me. I am right here. My email is working better than Teams, it seems like right now, but you can contact me either way. Let me know if there's any questions, any concerns at all. I hope you guys have a great day, and your assignments for today will be posted in a separate post here on Teams in just a second.